So this essay is psychological explanations of schizophrenia, which is also another predicted question predicted by lupa.co.uk for the PSYA4 exam. I also did it in time conditions and managed to write 2.5 pages, which seems like the good amount to write. And I also did it in 30 minutes. Which is roughly about the time you'd get in the exam. But let's get straight into this. Basically, I'm going to mark this. I would have marked this one, but I think for camera it's just better to have this essay because it's more aesthetically pleasing. But yeah, so I'm going to mark this essay and we'll see what I get. Yeah, okay, so let's start. According to the behavioural approach, learning plays a role in causing schizophrenia. Early experience of punishment may force children to retreat into a rewarding inner world. This causes others to label them as odd or peculiar. 1 mark. According to Chef's labelling theory, individuals who have been labelled in this way may continue to act this way and conform to the label. Their bizarre behaviour may be rewarded with attention or sympathy, known as secondary gain. The behaviour is continued as a learnt response, that the positive reinforcement of attention is seen as a reward, and in a bid to seek such rewards, behaviour is exaggerated and continued until it is labelled as schizophrenia. So that I would get 3 marks for AO1 for the behavioural approach. I then go on to evaluate the behavioural approach. The behavioural approach to schizophrenia is the least recognized as it trivializes such a complex disorder to a simply learnt response to seek attention. Therefore, the behavioural approach can be deemed as reductionist as it reduces the complex disorder and ignores the important role of genetics. That's AO3. Because reductionist is an issues debate and approach. As Gottsman found that twins had a high concordance rate of getting schizophrenia if one had the disorder. Moreover, DZ twins showing genetics play a role. Therefore, questioning the psychological approach to schizophrenia. Perhaps both psychological and biological explanations need to be taken into consideration as individual differences arise. Some schizophrenics might have a biological origin, whilst others are psychological, or even both. Stressful life events. The role of stressful life events can be considered. This assumes that the disorder is triggered due to stressful events, such as the death of a partner or even a divorce. Support for this idea comes from Day et al., who found that schizophrenics tend to have experienced a higher number of stressful life events. AO1 mark. In the weeks before the onset of their schizophrenia, indicating that stress may have been cause of their mental illness. AO2 mark. Furthermore, findings have shown that schizophrenics are likely to report twice as many stressful life events than healthy controls. Both studies imply an association between stressful life events and schizophrenia development. However, such research may reflect a correlation. Stressful life events may be a consequence and effect of the disorder rather than the initial cause. 3 mark. For example, a schizophrenic may experience job loss and a marriage breakup as he or she struggles to come to terms with their disorder. Okay. Furthermore, the majority of us experience stressful life events at some time or another, yet just 1% of the population are diagnosed with schizophrenia. This suggests other explanations need to be considered, as it is unlikely stressful life events can fully explain the development of the disorder. A 3 mark. A more supported explanation could be the diathesis stress model, which argues stressful life events can trigger the disorder. However, they only trigger it when the individual is already generally genetically predisposed to it. Therefore, unites biological and psychological causes of schizophrenia. A more acceptable conclusion. Nice. I then go on to talk about expressed emotions. A family variable associated with schizophrenia seems to be families with high levels of expressed emotion. EE is a family communication that involves criticism, hostility, and emotional over-involvement. A1. High levels of EE are most likely to influence relapse rates. There is evidence that a patient returning to a family with high EE is about 4 times more likely to relapse than a family with low EE. If I wanted to, I could just have a phrase here saying this supports, I'm going to write it in actually. This supports psychological explanations of schizophrenia and would give me an AO2 mark. Supporting evidence comes from Torabi, who found the high prevalence of EE in Iranian culture, overprotective mothers and rejecting fathers was one of the main issues of schizophrenic relapse and cause. If it is a main cause of relapse, perhaps it could infer that it is a major initial cause of schizophrenia too, supporting psychological explanations. AO2 mark. However, it should be noted EE has received universal support as a potential cause of schizophrenia, although there is issues of cause and effect. We are unsure whether EE is cause of the disorder or is an effect as the family struggles to come to terms with the disorder. I've just added weakening the correlatory evidence, where I would get the mark for writing cause and effect, AO3. However, the criteria of EE can be held up to scrutiny. The negative emotional climate is measured on criticism and hostility and emotional over-involvement. These cannot be scientifically measured and is reliant on subjective observation, weakening such observations, AO3 here. Psychologists may impose ethics of one society when observing cultural homes. The family interactions can be misconstrued. Therefore, ethnocentrism is likely, AO3, due to expressed emotions, yet cultural differences which may suggest to westernized psychologists otherwise. The subjective criterion similarly lowers the validity and reliability of such a method, AO3. Perhaps EE cannot solely be accountable for schizophrenia, but may be influence stemming from another cause, weakening it as an explanation for schizophrenia. So I'm just going to count up the marks. So after counting, I would say I counted AO1 as 7 out of 8 and AO2/3 as 14. So 14 and 7, you're going to see my really bad math, which is 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I got 21. 21 out of 24. A brief conclusion could also give me a couple of more marks. So it is incomplete, so I need a conclusion just to tie it up, and could possibly be 4 marks. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. It was just a video to show you where you would be awarded marks for the psychological explanation of schizophrenia. So I hope it helps. Thank you so much and good luck with your exams.